Okay guys, so hopefully you've seen my first video on my G87 M2 and the reasons why I bought this car. Now obviously this car's got the frozen paint, I want to get this protected, and today I'm down at Bishop Auckland Detailing to meet Richard to see what we can do to protect the paint and also give you some tips on how to look after your matte painted cars. So let's go meet Richard. Okay, so welcome back to the channel, Richard. It's been a little while. I think the last time I was down here was when we did my Z4, which was back at the end of 2022, I think, wasn't it?
2022. So, it's been a couple of years,
It's been a couple of years, and then we filmed something on your Skoda Fabia VRS, which seemed to go down pretty well.
Yes, yeah.
But today, we're back with something a bit different. Obviously, we've got the G87 M2 with this frozen grey paint. So I guess, what are your thoughts on this paint, and what have we got planned for today to look after it?
Yeah, well, I think, to be honest, today is really just to sort of, it's virtually a brand new car, so I think the plan today will be to get the car cleaned down and then apply some protection to it. And I know we're going to talk about the products in a bit, but just to sort of give people a bit of an idea about what you can do with your frozen paint BMW, or you know, your matte paint vehicle of any brand, really.
Yeah, and I think obviously there's a few sort of quirks about this paint. Obviously the main one being that you basically can't polish it, because with it being a matte finish, if you polish it, it's just going to return to a gloss finish, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to take a bit more care.
Absolutely. I mean, we can get the polishes out and see if we can get it glossy if you want. But
let's leave that one for this video.
But yeah, so like you say, it is. It's a very durable finish, believe it or not. There's this misconception that people think it's not durable.
Yeah.
It is. It's very durable. It's got a clear coat on it, which is a misconception with a lot of people who think it's just a base coat. But the downside with it is, if there was any wash-related errors or scratches on it, unlike a gloss vehicle, we can't polish it to correct it.
Yeah.
We can't wet sand it. We can't do any of the things we would maybe do on a conventional paint finish.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, makes sense.
So the idea really, once we get it clean, is to put a specific coating on it for a matte finish, just to give it as much protection as we possibly can.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, okay, so why don't we go and have a look at the products then, and we can kind of talk through the things we picked out and why we picked those things, and then we can crack on with the job, I guess.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started. Okay, Richard, so we've obviously talked a little bit about the products before. I think one of the things that we talked about is that sort of weighing up between PPF and ceramic coating and the pros and the cons of each.
Yeah.
So I guess, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, they're two very different beasts, to be honest. And I know we've talked off camera about this, around sort of your thoughts around protecting the M2. You know, the ceramic coating is probably the go-to protection to give you as much protection as you can on the paint. But it's very much protecting against the elements, protecting against things like, you know, bird droppings and road film and things like that. Really designed to make the paint a little bit harder and to make it easier to wash. With it being easier to wash, less chance of damaging it through touching it with a contact wash in the future. Yeah. The PPF comes into its own really, certainly around the front of the car, and usually on BMWs, like the sills and the rear haunches, especially again M2s, M4s, where they flay out quite a bit at the back. Because with them you're kind of getting the impact protection from your stone chips and things.
Yeah.
And there is actually some very clever PPFs out there now that self-heal. So if you do scratch them, you know, if you get some heat on them, like heat gun or hairdryer, or even sometimes in the sunlight, they will actually re-heal.
Yeah.
So different things. But,
No, that's great. And I think the other thing that often seems to come up when we're talking about PPF is, I think, the cost of actually applying it, maybe versus the cost of repainting the paint if there was damage, because I think sometimes they're not actually a million miles apart.
They're not. No, they're not. I mean, I think the PPF in some cases, you know, you can be talking the price of a respray, a good respray.
Yeah.
But I think that the advantage with the PPF is, if you get the car early, like the M2's, you know, a new car, you know, you're protecting that original paint. Yeah. Once you start to repaint it, it's never going to be...
It's not quite as good, is it?
Never going to be quite as good as a factory job. And certainly with stuff like frozen, it makes sense. And I know you were kind of thinking about it in addition to this. So.
Yeah, 100%. I still haven't completely made my mind up. I thought, first of all, let's just start with the ceramic coating. I'll see how I feel with that. I'm obviously very careful with how I use my cars anyway. But I'm still conscious about potentially getting some PPF on certain spots, as you say.
Yeah.
But, that'll be one to sort of revisit probably in a month or so. So just talking about the products then, because this is another thing that we obviously talked a bit about, and I guess really what we've got to consider is, you know, products that are made for matte paintwork, because we don't necessarily just want to use your ordinary off-the-shelf products.
No, that's true. And I mean, you know, speaking to some of the manufacturers of ceramics, and the one that we're going to talk about today is not usually my go-to brand, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But I think from speaking to the suppliers, it's best if you have something that is specifically matte or specifically for frozen paint.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say, well, you can use a certain ceramic because it maintains the finish, or it adds like depth to the paint. But generally speaking, the consensus from what I've read and the research when I've spoken to people prior to this car coming in is that really you should be using a specific matte paint protection. So in this case, we've gone for a Gyeon. I think that's how you pronounce it. Gyeon.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. And it's their Matte Evo product. And what they're actually saying is this product is 2-year protection.
Okay.
And again, there was some confusion when I was buying this. This is a little kit that's got the specific detail and spray, touch-up spray, which I thought would be handy if you maybe keep that in the car. If you get any contamination on the car when you're out and about, you can maybe use it just to get it off the paint as quick as possible. But from experience, some of these ceramics that say, you know, they've got a 2-year longevity, if you're using the car and you're not doing a lot of miles every year, you tend to get a little bit longer out of them.
Yeah.
But from looking at the matte stuff, they don't give the level of longevity that some of the gloss ceramics would give.
Yeah. So I guess we'll have to see how that fares up, but you know, I think using the specific matte coating is probably a good starting point, isn't it? And we'll see how things go.
Yeah. Again, you don't want to be using anything, whether it's the coating or whether it's the shampoo. You don't want to be using anything that's enhancing gloss at all.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a good shout for the time being.
Okay.
But when we come to your carbon roof, we're going to be looking at using the Gtechniq, which is the crystal serum light. Now this is available to the open market. They actually do a crystal serum ultra, which is for accredited detailers only. I have used both products in the past, and if I'm honest, I'm on the fence as to whether the Ultra is worth the difference. But this is a really good coating.
Yeah.
So what the plan will be today with the M2 will be to check the state of play in terms of scratches and swirls on your carbon. It might need a little bit of correction.
Yeah.
But then to get this applied, to give it that 5-year coating. So that'll be for the roof.
Okay. Yeah. Brilliant.
And the other thing we talked about was the wheels.
Yes.
So once the car's cleaned down, the plan will be to get the wheels off the car and coat them.
Yeah.
And again, my go-to is the Gtechniq C5, which is their wheel armour. Now this ceramic is designed for sort of high heat applications.
Yeah.
Where your discs and your wheels are potentially going to be generating a bit more heat, but it's good for coating the wheels, it's good for coating the calipers. So we'll be putting that on just to give that as much protection as possible as well.
Brilliant. I think one of the benefits from that is probably going to sort of making brake dust and things easier to get off as well, right? Because
absolutely,
something that can build up. I mean, already there's a lot of brake dust on the wheels, so I think anything to kind of help protect that makes sense. So.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just to basically mean that the dust's not going to etch into the paint. And again, with most modern wheels, and especially on the M2, you've got your diamond cut finish with like a black paint, and you know they're not the most durable.
It's going to show up the defects. And they're more expensive to fix as well, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Okay, brilliant. Well, I appreciate that. It's obviously been great to get your insight on all the different products. I know you've got a lot of experience sort of detailing cars and all that sort of stuff. So I guess we should probably make a start with the wash, shouldn't we?
I think we should.
All right, let's get on with it.
Brilliant.
Okay, so I think there's just one more thing that we want to talk about before we commence the wash, and that's obviously what we're washing with, or rather decontaminating with. Yeah. So do you want to go ahead and see what we've got?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So for this particular car, we mentioned before, we don't want anything with gloss in it. It's a new car, but I want to get basically as much decontamination as possible with as much for as little, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So with most of the details that I do, I use Bilt Hamber products. Surfex HD, which we've got here, is an all-purpose cleaner. So, you know, I find this amazing for sort of in the arches, cleaning your tyres, general purpose sort of stuff. Use that with everything. The snow foam that we're going to use is one of two that Bilt Hamber do, which is a touchless. It's like a sugar-based snow foam, and it's really powerful yet safe. So I think to get as much cleaning as we can from the snow foam stage. Wheels, initially the plan is I'm just going to give the wheels a coating with the Bilt Hamber Auto wheel, which has got like an iron fallout remover in it, as well as obviously quite a powerful wheel cleaning element as well. So I think the wheels will clean predominantly when they're off the car, but I'll give them a quick hit when we do the first decon. And I think the main thing is the shampoo. So again, this is a Gyeon Restart Wash. Shout out to My Car Cleaning. It's got
this one was a freebie.
This is a freebie. But it's really good stuff, this. Again, it's got an element of fallout remover in it. There's no wax in it. So it's literally just as it says on the tin. Just to get the car as clean as possible.
Brilliant. All right, that sounds great. Yeah, I guess let's get started.
Brilliant.
All right. Okay, so you join us a couple of hours later. We've got the wheels decontaminated and ceramic coated. I have to say they're looking brilliant, actually, aren't they? Getting them back to the factory finish. But yeah, what's the next step then, Richard?
Yeah, okay. So we've the wheels are decontaminated, ceramic coated, like you've just said, Ollie. They're back on the car, torqued up. The car's now fully clean. The next step that I want to do is I want to just tape off the frozen paint either side of the carbon roof, and I want to give the roof a quick hit with the polisher, just to make sure there's no swirl marks in. We did check it outside when it was bright sun earlier, and they're very minimal, if any, but it makes sense at this stage to get that done. And then once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the Gtechniq crystal serum light on there, just to seal in the in the carbon.
Makes sense, and I guess the reason for polishing it before, right, is that if we didn't do that, we'd essentially be locking in those scratches if anything was there for a period of time, and you'd be able to see them.
Absolutely, and generally with any detailing job, it's kind of I suppose it's all in the prep as to what the finish is going to be. You know, you might be able to sort of fully ceramic coat a car in, say, half an hour, you know, go around to a panel at a time.
Yeah.
But it's the prep. So, you know, most of the cars that I get in, I mean, we haven't got to do it on this, thankfully, but you might have sort of upwards of 20 hours worth of prep work. Because like you say, if you've got the scratches in, you've got the holograms or the swirls, and you put your ceramic on, you're literally just
going to see them.
You're just going to see them.
Stuck.
And then they're stuck. Even worse than not putting the ceramic on, because then you've got to then get the coating back off.
Yeah.
And some of the coatings that you've got on the market now are so hard that you've either got to wet sand them, you've at least got to buff them. Yeah. So you just don't want to be. You don't want to be going.
Got to do the prep. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Well, yeah. Let's see what we can do with the roof then. I'm sure that's going to turn out really nice.
Yeah. Brilliant.
All right. Okay, Richard, so that roof is looking very, very good indeed. I think we're pretty happy with the result on that. Didn't need too much correction, did it really?
No, it was pretty good. So we just did like quite a light pad and a light compound, just to take just very, very minor marks out of it. Yeah. And a little hybrid polisher just to get into to get quite tight into the edges, because the bigger polishers, they don't hit the edges. So
makes sense.
Yeah, so that's okay, and that's got the crystal serum Gtechniq on it now.
Yeah, which is 5-year rated, isn't it?
5-year rated. Yeah. It's what they call a 9H coating, so it's quite a hard coating that.
Okay.
And it'll be fully cured in 3 to 4 hours. So hopefully that's the roof done.
Okay, fantastic. So the main event really is the rest of the car, which obviously the big talking point is, the matte finish. We obviously talked through the products that we're going to be using, and the fact that we're using something specific to the matte paint. And I guess, what are the steps before we can put the ceramic coating on?
Okay, so basically the car's, it's fully decontaminated. It's been sat in the workshop for a good few hours now, so it's completely dry. What I'm going to do with it first is I'm going to go around and just check the panels, and on most of the panels I'm going to hit it with the Gyeon prep, which is obviously, as the name suggests, just to prepare it. It just gets any oils or any contamination off the panel before you put the ceramic on, so it can adhere to it properly. And then once we've done that, it's going to be going for gold, I'm afraid. So
what could possibly go wrong?
We've just been discussing what panel we're going to try first, just in case it goes horribly wrong. And, we think maybe the very bottom corner of this wing mirror we'll try first.
Yeah, it's a safe bet. It's a bit that we can hide easily. No, I have full faith. As you say, we've selected a product that is really specifically aimed at this type of paintwork. So excited to see. Obviously, we're not really assuming there's going to be any difference in the physical appearance, are we, once it's on there, because it's all designed to sort of just look.
That's it. Normal. Yeah, we I think, like we said earlier on in the video, there's a lot of companies will say that their product will work with matte, and some of them even go as far as to say it'll enhance it or it'll enrich in the paint. With this, we don't want any difference. We don't want any extra sheen. We don't want any change to colour. We're just hoping it's going to look exactly the same as what it does now, with a bit of luck.
All right, well, let's get on and then see how we get on with it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Okay, Richard, so the car is done. I mean, I have to say it looks very good, and most importantly, we've retained the matte finish, so I would say that's a success.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's a success. It's I was a bit worried whenever you start to coat these things when they're a matte finish. You don't want to put any sheen onto it.
Yeah.
But I think it looks like it did before, which
is a good thing.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see what it's like with when the water and how easy it is to clean and how the water beads off it, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think overall it's gone well. That Gyeon ceramic appears to be a good product. So maybe we can report back, and anybody else with a frozen paint.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can leave the links to all the products in the description below so that people can refer to that. And I think, what would be your sort of guidance in terms of maintaining this finish now?
Well, yeah, I think the thing is with it, it's touch it as little as possible. So whenever you're going to wash the car, it's going to be, give it a really good rinse with your pressure washer, panel by panel. I think a lot of people skip that stage. They just tend to just wet it, and and then I would be using a good quality snow foam and just let it dwell. Just follow the manufacturer's instructions. Maybe even if you could do it a couple of times, if you've got the time. Rinse that off and then go in with your wash buckets. But I'm hoping, ceramic a lot of the time, and it's a grey as well, so it's not like a black car. So you'd think, well, maybe just a rinse with your snow foam might get it to the sort of standards that you're happy with.
Yeah.
But then just 2 bucket method, decent wash mitt.
Yeah.
Like I say to a lot of my customers, no sponges.
Yeah.
No chamois leathers.
Yeah, got to use the quality goods, don't we? Yeah.
And no sweeping brushes like we've seen.
Definitely not. Yeah, I mean, hopefully with the coating, the actual contact washes will be far more infrequent, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, okay, brilliant. And I guess for you, like, where can people find your details then? Obviously, you're based in Bishop Auckland. I know you've got quite a few customers that bring in their cars. So how can people get in contact with you?
Well, I mean, I've got a Facebook page, which is surprisingly Bishop Auckland Detailing.
Yep.
I've got a little website, which again is Bishop Auckland Detailing, and telephone numbers and things are on there. One thing I would say is I run the business part-time, so I like to try and get the quality. So if people leave a car with me, I'm not in like a rush to turn the car around quickly. I'd rather make sure that it was as good as it can be before it's handed out. There's no there's none of this like in and out in a day or 2 days. It's especially if it's a full ceramic coating. So that's the only thing I would say to people. If they've got the time where they can leave it with us, then it'll get the hours.
Absolutely. I mean, your attention to detail is unmatched, and I know there's a few other bits that we've sort of touched up on the grills and things like that, just to make sure that it's perfect. So, no, I always appreciate that, and I'll leave all of Richard's links in the description below. So if you are up in the northeast, or in general, if they want to get in contact with you,
absolutely,
I'll make sure they can follow those links. So
that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks very much for your time, Richard. I really appreciate that.
No, it's a
pleasure to make another video. And I'm sure we'll be in touch, and I'll keep you up to date with how the coating fares, and it's been great. So hope you guys have found the video useful, and obviously understand some of the steps involved with applying these coatings, and also looking after the matte paints in general. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe, and you can also check out the playlist for the G87 M2 up in the top corner as well. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed. Thanks again to Richard. We'll catch you all very soon.